I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, June the 30th, brought to you in part by Zactran. Zactran is an antibiotic by Boehringer Ingelheim that is approved for the treatment and control of bovine respiratory disease. Remember to observe your 35-day withdrawal period after treatment. For more information, go to Zactran.com or visit with your BI representative. Got the midsummer break coming up, and your cattle marketing breaks 2 times a year, around the 4th of July and between Christmas and New Year's. So it's kind of split up this week the way it lands, with the 4th landing on a Sunday, but the back end of this week and the front end of next week are basically going to be absent. Well, here at the Feeder Flash, we're going to take an opportunity to take a little break here too. So this will be your last Feeder Flash until next Wednesday. So you guys are just you guys that lean on me to get through your morning, just going to have to figure something else out for a few days. Hate to do that. We like to be here on a regular basis and you guys be able to depend on us, but 5 days a week all the time, that's kind of a rigid schedule, having to talk for 15-20 minutes, but anyways, I wouldn't have took the time off, but the guys that make all this work up there in Kansas, Dusty and Jason, they're headed off to the islands somewhere in Jamaica to celebrate a big anniversary in their family. So they worked out good for them, and we're going to take a little time off right now, and then I get to go work their video sales that they can't be at since they're out of the country. So you guys don't worry, you guys have a good time. Old dog will take care of everything, and whenever you guys get back, then you can start having me pump these reports out again every day. But midsummer break, got sales here coming up on Wednesday here today, and then from here on out we're going to be probably backing off. There won't be too many Thursday, Friday sales, and not too many Monday, Tuesday sales. So like I said, we're going to take a break right along with everybody. Big news today is the grain report that's going to come out today. It's going to tell us what the acres are, how much acres corn got and how much beans got and all around. It's also going to tell us about the stockpiles and what we've got on hand. Could be a big market mover, but it's only took a breath of breeze to make a market mover here so far this spring and summer on these grain markets. But thank God July contracts are just about done. I tell you what, we've whipsawed those things back and forth so much that it's just been crazy, topsy-turvy with these big daily limit moves, and it's just unbelievable how things can go on that. But I want to give you guys something to think about here over the 4th of July. So we've been talking about this lack of transparency in the market, no price discovery, lack of competition, and everything that goes with. And I know you guys probably get tired of hearing about it. I get tired of preaching about it, but I want you guys to throw in, and I was on a conference call with U.S. Cattlemen's Association. Of course, Justin Tupper called everybody in for the meeting, and if Justin Tupper says something, by God, people start moving fast, especially after he showed what a star he was before the Senate Ag Committee hearing. That they were saying, as much as we've been trying to get people to talk to their lawmakers, to their senators and congressmen, as much as we've been asking to do that, and a lot of people have been doing it, and the awareness has never been bigger in Washington, D.C., that something's got to be done. But we've got to finish right here. We got to keep doing it. We're likely going to run out of time trying to get some of these bills pushed through that are going to need to use mandatory price reporting to oversee and enforce them. So it could actually happen, and that's got to get done by the end of September. Could actually happen that we might extend the reauthorization of that for just a little bit longer to get these deals pushed through. But we've got to strike while the iron's hot. So I want to give you just a little bit of more in-depth information about your direct fed cattle sales last week, this past week. And in your major feeding areas. Of course, we don't get enough information out of Colorado to even talk about it. So that's one of the things we need to get through. We need to loosen up the confidentiality a little bit. But let's talk about Texas. I live right down here in the center of the Texas Panhandle, right in the middle of all of it. There is very little trade down here at all to talk about. I got to get on the phone. I got to message people to see what's going on around, because there's not enough going on around here to amount to a squirt of piss. I mean, nothing. Not much going on in the sales. Nobody's trading any cash fat cattle to speak of, and there's not much trade going on. I tell you what, the sales that I used to go to in the Midwest, Missouri and Oklahoma and all around Nebraska and up in Iowa, you think, well, there's just a bunch of bib overall guys in here. They're the cattlemen. We don't have cattlemen down here in the Texas Panhandle. All we have is market takers down here, and they're in a sweetheart deal. They've got everything lined up. They buy cheap cattle, they hedge them to the gills. They're just making their feedlots work, is all they're doing. They're not part of the problem. They're not part of the correction. They're part of the problem. So look at Texas last week. In Texas last week, there were 84,300 head of formula sales. There were 1,324 head of cash cattle sales negotiated in the entire Texas Panhandle. And that includes eastern New Mexico and Oklahoma Panhandle. 1,324 head of negotiated cash cattle. That's absolutely ridiculous. Meanwhile, Cattlemen's Livestock up at Delhart, Texas on the feeder cattle sale had kind of a light summer run with over 1,900. You see what our problem is, guys? 1,324 head compared to 84,300 head of formulas. So it's about 1.5% negotiated cash, and it wasn't even that good, because we did have a little dab of a negotiated grid and forward contracts last week, so it would be even lower than that. 99% of the cattle selling off what 1% of them bring, and you guys feel good about that, and you don't think that we need to get some kind of a government mandate in here to try to fix it? That is called complete monopoly. You don't see the four packers trying to push to get a larger percentage. No, they've got their sweetheart deals with their corporate feeders. They're not going to try to take over somebody else's corporate feeder. They're just happy right where they're at. They've all got their needs almost completely met, and they piddle a little bit. They might piddle on the Fed Cattle Exchange. They may piddle with consolidated beef producers. They may piddle on CBP's cash pool just a little bit around, just nibbling around. As long as they can drag the thing out like they're doing it right now, they've absolutely got it made. Most of these packing plants that are down here in the Texas Panhandle don't have a procurement office. They don't have a head fat cattle buyer. They don't have any country buyers. All they got is schedulers. And you guys think we don't need to get something done. Let's go up the road here to Kansas a little bit. Kansas is in a whole lot better shape, but not very good shape. In Kansas last week, they had 73,200 head of formula cattle and 2,921 head of negotiated cash cattle. Steve Stratford and them over at Pratt, it ain't nothing for them to sell 4,500 head of feeders in a week in competition, bidding against each other with an auctioneer, being the middle guy between the negotiation. 2,921 head. All them feedlots they got, southwest Kansas and all over the state there. And then you think, but we heard on that Senate Ag Committee hearing, Mark Gardner said that's what you have to have value-based marketing, because we want to get paid more for our better cattle. And somebody keeps emailing me all the time saying that I lied and said that Mark Gardner was on there representing NCBA. And he said, no, he wasn't. He was invited there from the ranking member. Well, NCBA claims him and he claims them. So, that's the way I see it. But if he was nominated to testify there from a ranking member, then so be it. There you go. Now quit emailing me. But let's talk about how that went for your steer dressed basis net formula price out of Kansas last week. Net formula price on steers dressed, $195.03. You think, well, that doesn't sound all that great really to me. What was the 5 area negotiated dressed average 197.98. Almost $3 higher to sell them in cash than it was on the net dressed steer formula deal. Well, that wasn't on the very best cattle. We don't know what it was because we don't get that good of information. It all gets thrown into a pile. We can't figure that out. But it doesn't sound like it's too damn good to me. Let's go on up the road a little bit further. How about Nebraska? 47,400 head of formulas and 18,700 head of cash. Well, that's a little bit better. You know, that's getting in there where you can almost probably use that cash as a barometer of what's going on in your markets there a little bit, and it starts to get a whole lot healthier when you go to the Midwest because you got more small feedlots, more independent cattle feeders, guys that aren't tied up in a sweetheart deal. But what about the net formula dress steer price there? It was at 197.69. Your 5-area average negotiated dressed was 197.98. Still a little bit higher. Nebraska weighted average dressed 197.55. All right in there, pretty good. I mean, pretty tight right in there. That's telling me that the more that you negotiate cash sales, the closer you get to what these premiums are. Let's move on up and over to Iowa. Iowa didn't have a lot of trade last week. They had 9,600 head of formulas, 16,300 head of cash sales. And now how did they get along? Well, their net dressed formula steer price there was 198.72, and the Iowa weighted average negotiated was 198.65. And nobody will disagree that, I wouldn't think anybody would disagree, the best cattle in the United States are fed in Iowa by smaller feeders. A lot of those guys go out to the sand hills in Nebraska, give it all for the best cattle that walk, drag them back over there and farmer feed them right there in Iowa, and they're selling those cattle cash, and they've got more price discovery there. They've got more transparency. They're getting closer to what the premiums are on the sweetheart deals. You know, just sit and think about that a little bit. About 1.5% of the cattle sold in Texas Panhandle were negotiated cash. You guys think, well, this is not going to drown out the cash trade. The cash trade's already gone in the Southern Plains. We've already drowned it out. Now, we could resurrect it with a mandate if you guys would kind of get in there a little bit and help us push. But your corporate feeders are nothing more than contract growers, just like the chickens and the turkeys and the pigs. Now, they want to think that they're doing big shit out there, but no. Those guys gave it up 30 or 40 years ago when they crawled in bed with these packers. And now we've got our smaller family feeding operations, intermediate feeding groups trying to get in there with them. You're not getting as good a sweetheart deal as those big guys. The only premiums in this business are for volume and lots of it. I'll get off my soapbox about that. How about your board on Tuesday? June live cattle futures up 45 cents at 122.55. August up 32 cents at 121.92. Go on the back months on your live cattle futures, down 15 cents to up 25. August feeder cattle up $1.05 at 157.40. September up 72. Gained quite a bit of it back that we'd lost. Of course, it was over $3 on your spot August on Monday, but gaining some of it back, and that's good. It's showing some buoyancy there, and I think we got a strong feeder cattle market. It's really strong on the cash side. I'll give you that in just a minute, but really good, and we're going into these big videos with a head of steam. September up 72 cents at 159.80. Go on your back months, so your feeder cattle futures down 15 cents to up 52. Your corn old crop July was up 19. I guess there's no old crop left, but we might find out different today when we get that stocks report on the grain. But up 19 cents at 694.5. But that shouldn't really matter to our feeder cattle. If you don't have your grain, your corn bought, at least to get them fed till the combines start rolling. You're kind of up against it, and you shouldn't be buying any of it. But new crop December up $1.25, or up 1 1/4 cents, excuse me, at 548.5. How about your fat cattle trade? Non-existent. We haven't traded enough cattle this week to amount to nothing. And now we're going to get into this holiday, and nobody's going to be wanting to trade anything there. We might trade something on Wednesday, but we haven't traded nothing. They don't want to trade nothing. They don't need to trade nothing, and evidently they don't care if everybody sees that they don't trade nothing and don't care. I already told you what happened in a whole week last week. How about a holiday week this week when they don't really need anything? Iowa sold about 300 head on Tuesday, 126.5 and $2 dressed. Nebraska didn't trade a hoof confirmed. Kansas didn't trade a hoof confirmed. Texas just had the cash pool that Consolidated Beef Producers have been trying to get going. Tell you what, Casey Bradshaw's a good guy. He loves this industry. He wants to preserve it. He's trying to get this deal going, and they're just playing with him. They're playing with him, I tell you what, like a mouse on a string. And the cash pool, 989 head, was a sealed bid deal. They only had 2 bids. And then your price, the best price was 121.25. I mean, we didn't trade crap last week, 1,324 head and only 2,900 in Kansas, but they were at least at 122. What the hell makes them think that we need to back this market up? They're the ones that are short bought. Of course, you know, that they can just wait and pull contracts and pull formulas, and people are going to grid them cattle and take care of their problem. But why can't they gain ground when we're running with a $5 premium to the north? Give me a break. 121.25. How about another fat cattle sale that happened in an auction ring with competition with an auctioneer, and we had some small and medium-sized packers out there, and then we had some bigger packers in there that needed to kind of fill in around the edges. So they showed up at Stockman's Livestock in Yankton, South Dakota, where they had 1,620 head of slaughter cattle there on Tuesday. And what did they bring with a little bit of competition? Mostly 125 to 130, with several groups up to 133.25, and a couple as high as 134.50. Huh. You know, if we gotta make them buy cash cattle, then we gotta make them buy cash cattle. Otherwise, the cattle business is done. And you think, well, I just raised cows and calves. It's going to continue to vertically integrate till you're going to show you up with your calves at the sale, and there may be 1 or 2 guys there to bid on them. How long is it going to take them to get together, guys? If we've got to make them do right, then we got to make them do right. That's all we can do. You know, and you go, well, I don't know about this government deal. You liked your government cheese check, didn't you? You put it right in the pocket. Didn't bother you a bit, did it? Well, we got to get the government to help us out over here where we can help ourselves. Box beef cutout values down big again. Choice cuts 290, 234 down to 509. Selects down 356 at 270.40. Your slaughters keeping up pretty good for this week, 238,000. That's just 1,000 off of last week's at this point, and 1,000 more than the same week a year ago. Let's talk about what else is going on. I told you about big videos coming. You're going to have a week in the Rockies next week, but Big Bang video, primetime livestock video from Joplin Regional Stockyards. I'm going up there. It's going to be at Quapaw, Oklahoma, just right over the line from Missouri, at Downstream Casino. It's going to be at 1 o'clock on Thursday, and they've got like 30,000 head of cattle there. Be a lot of those green grass yearlings on there. Almost all of them will be. That will be a good test of the market too, and it will feature a lot of your family feeding operations going in there and buying those cattle. I tell you what, that is a good one to get onto. Get on to dvauction.com. We're going to primetime livestock video and tune into the same console. Watch, bid on those cattle right there, and then I'm going to come home for the 4th of July, and then I'm going right back on the same roads up to Pawhuska, Oklahoma on the 6th, and South Coffeyville, Oklahoma stockyards are going to be having a special video sale there. It's going to be an evening sale on the 6th. And then we've got all kinds of big videos also coming. Northern's got a video. Week of the Rockies is coming up. Then we're going to have Western video coming up here as we get closer to the middle of the month. It's going to be a lot of videos going on, and pretty much all your fall delivery calves and all your yearlings will pretty much be priced by then. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Tuesday at 146.63. That was up another 60 cents. How about your big sales on Tuesday? How about Ozark Regional Stockyard, West Plains, Missouri, 3,500 through the ring, another 400 and some on the in-house video through DV auction there. And they called the calves weighing under 7, steers under 7, heifers under 650, $3 to $8 higher. Did not have a real good test of true yearlings like they had a week ago, but awful smoky sale there in West Plains. How about some individual quotes around the circuit? Kingsville Livestock Auction, Kingsville, Missouri, just south and east of Kansas City there. They had about 2,000 on hand. But how about this one long string of green steers off grass, 240 head of them, weighed 764. They were 95% black with a few reds and Charolais crosses on them. Weighed 764 to 154.60. Wow. How about my buddy Brad Hahn at Fredonia? I told you they were going to have a big special at Fredonia, Kansas. They did. 3,600 head on offer there. And how about the Hahn Ranch cattle there? Speaking of Brad Hahn, it was on an in-house video there. They had 11 loads of black spayed heifers to weigh 850 on August the 1st. They had a weight stop at 875 pounds. They bring $150 smooth, guys. Heifers. They were spayed, but still heifers to weigh 850 August the 1st. 11 loads of them, one swack. How about it in through the ring sale there that they had? The McIlvaine cattle, 59 head of them, weighed 888 pounds at $154. How about Unionville Livestock Market? Kurt and Heather Sport Leader got a hell of a sale going up there in north central Missouri. About 2,000 head of feeders there on offer. Tracy Thompson, my good friend, former co-worker there, market reporter, she said there were $8 to $15 higher than the sale they had 2 weeks ago. The big cattle, 8 to 15 higher. I pulled out the market report out of there, and you can see the best tested weights are the biggest. 267 head of 8-weight steers averaged 840 at 150, 136. 413 head of the 9-weight steers averaged 9 1/4 at 143.73. You know, they feature the Rockin' R cattle there from Lucerne, Missouri. Friends of mine there, and they background cattle and know how to do it and keep the good in them, but they get them to grow too. But 2 weeks ago, similar weight cattle from the Rockin' R's averaged 135.73. Tuesday they averaged 143.85. Wow. But the stick-out sale in Unionville was the Junior Landrum steers there. 65 head of them weighed 812 pounds at $155. And that's your Zach Tran top quote for the day. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.